So here we are at Xcode. Now I want you to first go down to the link right down below in the description and download this starter project. Okay, and when you download this starter project, open the main.storyboard and then we will get started. Okay, welcome back. I hope that you download this starter project. Alright, so in this main.storyboard, we'll work exclusively on this main.storyboard, and for this app, we will have a very basic, simple login or sign up screen. Okay, and we'll have two text fields. The first one is a username, and then the second one is the password. We'll also have a button. So the idea behind this is I want to attach this apply auto layout so that this UI, it looks good on every screen size. Because right now, if you run it on iPhone 6 or any size, it doesn't look quite good. Now, you can run it on iPhone 6 or iPhone 5 4S or 6 Plus or anything to test this, right? But I want you to, because testing it, maybe it will take some time to run, and Xcode has a really cool feature called preview. And what you can do is just click into this view controller and then select the assistant editor. So here's the assistant editor, right? And then we will click into this automatic, okay? And then I will click into preview, and we want to preview the main.storyboard. And here is a preview of live rendering of our main.storyboard. Okay, it is live rendering. Alright, so you look at this. This is an iPhone 4-inch, and it doesn't look anything near good. Okay, it doesn't look anything close to good because this text field is cut and this button is cut. What we want is this button to be right in the center, and this text field on the corners of those are always attached to these borders or to these margins of the super view. Because now the super view of this is the main view, right? The view of this view controller. And maybe if you want to test another one, you can have an iPhone 7-inch. I'm sorry, iPhone 4.7-inch, and it doesn't look really good. If you want to have iPhone 5.5, and it doesn't look anything close to good. All right. And before going to auto layout, applying auto layout, I want to introduce you to some of the terminologies that we talk in the slides, and we will see that in storyboard in practice. All right. So the first one is the top space and the bottom space, right? And if you look at this, the way that we can add constraints in auto layout, there are several ways to do this. But in this video, I want to introduce you one of the ways that we will use a lot is control drag. So what you want to do is, let's say I want to apply auto layout on this label, okay? And we want to apply auto layout from this label to the super view, right? Because the super view is the view that is fixed for this device. So I can control drag from selecting the label. I can control drag from the label to the super view. And you see that there's an kind of like the arrow, right? And then it highlights the super view. And you'll see of the corner it says view over here, which is this super view. And when I release it, it allows me to select some of the properties, some of the constraints that I want to add. And you see that there are two things really familiar to you. The first one is the leading space, right? The leading space is to the left, and Xcode is smart enough. If you control drag to the left, it will show you the leading space to the container margin, which is the container of this label is this super view, right? And also if we pull it to the top, we have the vertical space, okay, or the top space to the top layout guide. And what is this top layout guide? And we don't see this top layout guide because it is just a virtual layout guide, a line, right? If you go to the document outline, which is this little button over here, you can select that one. And then you see that this is called the document outline, and we will see the view hierarchy in this. And know that you are up to this point, you're all very familiar with this, but I want to reinforce those knowledge for you. Okay, and this is the view controller. Instead, we have a view which is the super view in this case, and we have all these UI elements in this, right? And you see that we have the top layout guide. Here it is, and this top layout guide, when we select that, it will be highlighted on this. Okay, this top layout guide by default, it is right underneath 20 points from the top of the super view to this top layout guide. It's right underneath the status bar. Okay, the purpose of this top layout guide is that it will move it automatically whenever the top part of the super view changes. Let's say some of the changes is that you add a navigation bar on that, then this top layout guide, it will move right down below. Okay, and then we will talk about that in a minute. So now let's add some constraints to these UI elements. The first thing is, now what is the strategy in this? You know that we have, in order to have an unambiguous constraint, we will have to have the X position, the Y position, and the width and height, right? So let's have that. The first thing is I want to add the X position of this this username text field, and the X position is simply this, the leading space, this space from the margins of the super view to this label, right? We want to have the X position. We want to tell auto layout that do whatever you need to do so that this label always stays with this space to the margins, to the left margin of the super view. So I will control drag from this label to this, the little space over here, okay? And then we'll pop up a pop-up, and we want to add the leading space. Let me do that again, okay? I just hold Command Z, and then we want to add the leading space to the container margin. Then let's click into this, and you see that there are several things we want to see. The first thing is, what is this? Why is this kind of like the red lines? This red line, it says that, well, your label, it is ambiguous, okay? And you can look at this document outline. There are a red label, a red error over here. It means that we are having an error. Well, this error, it says just that, okay, we know that we have an X position, but how about the Y and the width and height, right? We know about the X position, but we need the Y, the width and the height. So let's have the Y position. Now the Y position in this, so this is the X coordinates, and this is the Y coordinates. The Y coordinates, the Y position of this label, is just this space over here. So we want to tell auto layouts that do whatever you need to do so that this label, for every screen size, it will be this far from the top margins, right? So we want to control drag from this label to this top, and then release it, okay? And then we will have some other options. You want to have the vertical spacing to top layout guide, okay? And I know that a lot of you guys are international folks are watching us, so the vertical spacing is just simply that the straight line on top view. Horizontal is maybe the like the ground, okay? So the vertical spacing, we click into this, and you see that we have those blue guidelines, those blue lines. Blue lines means that we are good to go, right? We have an unambiguous constraint. But now, why is it? Why is it? Because we just specified the X and the Y. Why? How about the width and height, right? I tell you that you have to specify the width and height so that you have an unambiguous constraint. It turns out that for this particular UI element called a UI label, it already contains the width and height information about it. Okay, it is called intrinsic content size. Intrinsic content size meaning that the size of the content itself. So in this UI label, the content of this UI label is some of the text username, right? Each of the letter in this, it has the size, the font size, and the typeface, right? So auto layout already knows the width of this username, text field, text label, and also it knows the height. So in this particular case, we don't have to specify the width and height, but we do have to specify the X and the Y position. Cool? Alright, so now let's move on into this text field. This text field is a little bit different. Now, again, we want to, instead, so that this text field always stays that much, right? The Y position. So let's have the Y position. The Y position in this is this top space. So I will control drag from this to the top space. Then we'll have the vertical spacing to the top layout guy and click onto this. Okay. So now X got yelled at us because this red guideline says that, okay, you're still missing some of the information. This one, it says that the red lines, it says that you tell auto layout some information, but this is the red lines is actually where the UI elements will stay when you run it. Okay, and later on you will see that it will be like that. So we just specify the Y position. How about the X position? The X position, we want it so that the space over here, the X position, it will be from the margin here to this left, right? From the margin to this left. What we want to do is, maybe you want to anchor to this super view, right? We can just have the margins from this one to this one. But it is even better if we can anchor from this guy to the left, from the left margin of this guy, to this label. Okay, and that is why I tell you that we can apply auto layouts from one element to another element, specifying that this element, the element that we are anchoring to, is not ambiguous. Okay, so we want to control drag from this guy to this guy, and we have the horizontal spacing. It means that the space between these two elements. Okay, you click into this, and we can click into that. Then we have this spacing over here. Cool. All right. That's good. Now next, why is this? We have another yellow or orange lines. Well, in this one, it says that, well, you tell auto layout about the X position, the Y position, but I don't know about the width and height, because actually this yellow line, it says that this is the current position of this text field, but when you run it, it will be like this. Okay, this dashed lines, it says that it will be like this at runtime, and I can prove it to you by we can just click into this, and we want to preview this. Okay, let's preview this guy, and yes, indeed, it will be like this at runtime. Okay, it will be like that. So what we don't want that, because now we just specified the X and the Y position. We haven't specified the width and height. So what is the height in this? It turns out that we don't have to specify for the height of the text field also, because a text field has the default height of 44 points. Okay, it is just default of a text field, alright? But how about the width? Now, as I tell you about the label, a label has intrinsic content size. It knows the size of the content inside it, but the text field doesn't have any content inside yet, because the user will enter some text in the text field. So the text field doesn't have any information about its width, right? So what we want to do is specify the width of this. Okay. So the width of this we can specify so that this margin, this right edge of the text field, it always attach to this margin of the super view. All right. So what we want to do is control drag from this guy to this guy. So we want to have the chilling space to contain a margin. Boom. Then everything is blue guidelines again, blue lines again. Okay. So let's go over this text field a little bit further. So we have the X position, which is this one. It will be this far from the username, and this far is actually by default it is 8 points, and we will talk about that in the next video. Okay, so we will want the X position from the margin from this username will be 8 points, right? The spacing, the horizontal spacing. The Y position will be 8 points to the from this top layout guy to this text field. How about the height? The height is by default, we have that information. The width is, we want it so that as the screen grows or shrinks with different screen size, we want it this text field always attached to this margin of the super view. Okay, cool. So now when I preview this guy, and by the way, the reason why I have to always close and open the preview again is that this preview Xcode renders the contents of the storyboard at live in real time for you. So unless you have a really powerful machine, then use it because it will take a lot of powerhouse. Okay. So now when you look at this username, it looks good on an iPhone 4-inch. This text field, it's always attached like this. And an iPhone 4.7-inch, it always like this. Looks good, right? All right. So on different screen size, we have this username and text fields. It looks good. Okay. So now let's move on into this password. So for the password, what we want to do is, now let's go over each of the item. We have the X, the Y, the width, and height, right? So the width and height already taken care with this text, the label, right, as the intrinsic content size. So what we want to do is the X. What is the X in this case? The X in this case is just like the username. We want it to be this far from the margin of the container view. So control drag from that to this. And then we have the leading space, which is basically in English, it is the left. So leading space. Then Xcode yelled us because we're still missing some information. Then we want to have the Y position. Now again, in this case, we can just have this from the top space, the top of this password to the container margin. But it is even better because we want, if we can anchor to this username, because as the screen size grows or shrink, we want that each element will be anchored to each other. So we want to control drag from this to that, to this username, and then we'll click the vertical spacing. Cool? Alright. And then you see that this password, it is still not correct because I think that I haven't specified the X position. Okay, so now I want to control drag from this to this. Okay, we already have the leading space. So why is this yellow? Because this yellow guys, it says that, okay, so you says to auto layout these information, but I don't know about that. At runtime will be different because if you look at this on the right side, you said Xcode you tell us that frame for password will be different at runtime. Okay, or we can click into this yellow arrow, okay, and it says that the expected width of this password, which is a label, is 74, but the actual width is 76. Okay, so there are 2 pixels. There are 2 point difference here. All right. So what we want to do is we want to change this guy, or we can just click into this one. Okay, it says that updates the frames. It says the frame in the canvas to match the constraints, so we can click into fix misplacement. You should only do this if you know that you have specified the necessary X, Y, width, and height of a UI element to auto layout. Okay, in this case we are good to go. So let's add the fix misplacement, and we don't have anything else. Okay, everything is blue again. That's good. Now next, let's have this one. This one, we want to anchor to the top so that we have the Y position, right? The X position of this is to the left of this password. So let's have this horizontal spacing, which is the X position, to the top, which is vertical spacing, which is the Y position. And again, this tells us that with this one, the width of this at runtime, it will be that, because there isn't any text field, any text in this text field. So we want to have the width of that by attach this corner to this margin by having this chilling space. like this, showing space. Okay, so everything is blue again. We can click into this, preview it like that. Cool, and then we'll have the password correctly. Very nice. Cool. Okay, so next I want to do something else with this button. This button, we want it so that it always stays this close to the text field, okay? And always we want this button to be always in the center of this text field. So what we want to do is we want to control drag from this one to this text field, right? And then we want to specify the Y position of this. So we have X, Y, width and height. I think in this video we say X, Y, width and height like thousands times. So I just want those information to be second nature to you, because later on, as you practice with that a lot, then this will really become second nature to you. You will love auto layout. It is an incredible tool for you. So now we can click into vertical spacing, just like this. It says that there are still misplacement is error because the red lines, right? So what we want to do is control drag again to this, to that, and we want to specify the X position. We just have the Y position, which is the vertical spacing, right? So what is the Y position in this? And so the X position in this. So this is the Y, the X coordinates, right? We want it always stays right in the center. So what we want to do is we can just control drag to this text field and put it center horizontally, okay? And then we have that. But now, if you look at this horizontal, center horizontally, it is center horizontally to this text field, okay? So we don't want that. We want it center horizontally to the super view. Okay, so what we can do is we hit the Command and Z so that we would undo this constraint, just like you are typing something. Okay, all right. So let's specify the X position of this button. We control drag instead to this one. We control drag up to the view, up to the top layout guide, and release that. Okay. And then we'll scroll down, we see the center horizontally in container. So there we go, we have that. And we still have this yellow line. Let's hit this to see what's going on. We said that expected X to be this and Y to be that. Okay, so let's fix the misplacement. And now we just have the X and Y. How about the width and height? The width and height in this case, it turns out that a button has some text in this button, and the button also has the intrinsic content size. Xcode or auto layout already knows the information about the width and height, just like a label. Okay, so that's good for us. We don't have to worry about the width and height in this case anymore. So we just need to fix misplacement and everything looks good. Everything is blue guidelines again. You can just select all of those like this, okay, and everything is blue, which is good. And then we can preview it back again, just like that. Cool. All right, so on the 4-inch, 4.7-inch, 5-inch, it all looks good. That's it for this video tutorial. As always, like in other courses, I want to leave you off with a challenge. The challenge this time is to create this layout and then having another field, which is the email field. I know that, and then apply auto layout on all of these fields so it looks good on every screen size, which is iPhone is good. Okay, I know that I have been going long in this video tutorial because I want you to really know the fundamentals. It is really important because as we progress forward, there are a lot of complex UIs that we'll work on in this course. Okay, and then we'll give you an introduction video right after this one, so you'll see that you have an idea about what we will learn in this course, the auto layout course. Okay, so I hope that you have been enjoying this video tutorial. If you have any question about the video tutorial or about the challenge, post it right down below or post it in the forum, and I will be answering those personally. And as always, you can always download the starter and complete project of the challenge and the video tutorial right down below. Right? Hey guys, it's Duke. Did you like this tutorial? If you did, you can do 2 things now to continue your journey. First, you can subscribe to my channel right here, which I hope you will, so that I can continue sending you more tutorials on a weekly basis. And second, you can join Developers Academy today, start learning iOS development, and get your first 2 weeks free by clicking the link on the screen right now. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until next time, go out there, learn new things, craft your ideas, and contribute to the world.